Voters in Ohio are headed to the polls today to decide whether a 60% supermajority should be required to pass an amendment to the state's constitution. Issue 1 would also create new obstacles for getting constitutional amendments on the ballot, which could effectively decide the fate of a proposal to guarantee abortion rights. This is already set for a vote in November. ABC's Alex Perche has the latest from Columbus.
Today, Ohio is holding a special election, voting on whether or not it should raise the bar to change its constitution. Right now, you just need a simple majority to pass a constitutional amendment. It's been that way for 111 years, but supporters of Issue 1 want to raise the threshold to 60%. Issue 1 also raises the bar for citizen-initiated constitutional changes. If it passes, Ohioans would need to gather a certain number of signatures from all 88 counties instead of the current requirement of 44. But look at the demonstrations either supporting Issue 1 or against it.
Free abortion on demand! Free abortion on demand!
And you really get at the heart of what many people here say this election is really about. The same politics around abortion access that we've seen play out across the country.
Primarily right now in this election, it is the abortion issue. I'm convinced that Ohio is a pro-choice state and that this initiative will go down significantly on August the 8th.
That's one of the important reasons why we need to pass Issue 1 is to prevent this radical abortion amendment from being passed this November.
Abortion rights advocates have an initiative on the November ballot that, if passed, would guarantee access to abortion in a state where restrictions at 6 weeks have been put on hold by a judge. If Issue 1 passes in August, it would make it harder for their November proposal to pass. During the 2022 midterm, the ABC News exit poll found that 58% of Ohio voters said abortion should be legal in most or all cases, which is just shy of that proposed 60% threshold.
We care about what's coming on the ballot in November, which will be on the ballot, is abortion. This is why it needs to happen.
Since the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade in 2022 and returned the decision of abortion access to the states, at least 15 of them are enforcing total abortion bans or near total abortion bans. Ohio's Republican-controlled state legislature would like to add the Buckeye State to that list. We were there as they rushed to greenlight this special election earlier this year, despite demonstrations in the State House Rotunda.
You hear the chanting going on here. This State House Rotunda has become the staging area for this protest. Many Ohioans telling me that they don't believe this bill is reflective of the majority of this state.
In this high-stakes election, both sides are spending millions on ads drumming up support.
That way, groups like the ACLU cannot come in and spend millions to enshrine late-term abortion in our Constitution.
And one abortion rights super PAC released this ad against Issue 1 that's gone viral.
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're banning birth control.
This is our decision, not yours. Get out of our bedroom.
I won the last election. I'm not going anywhere.
Since early voting began back on June 23rd, nearly 697,000 Ohioans have already voted either in person or by mail. Many braving long lines at polling locations. Some election offices had to recruit additional poll workers. Ohioans weighing in on whether November's critical election will be decided by a simple majority or not.
So Alex Perche is joining us now from Columbus, along with senior national policy reporter Ann Flaherty and ABC News political director Rick Klein. Thank you all for being here with us. Alex, clearly engaged voters there in Ohio. What are you hearing from them?
Well, Kena, what's interesting is that while many people are saying that this is a proxy vote on abortion, opponents of Issue 1 are saying that it's not just going to affect that if this passes, that it would also make it harder to thwart partisan gerrymandering and also really kind of prevent any constitutional change here that the conservatives in the state don't agree with. Remember, Ohio is solidly red, but supporters of Issue 1 say that, look, you can still get things passed. They just want to limit the outside influence. But, Kena, just to underscore how crucial and how big the turnout has been, nearly 700,000 early voters in this election. And even on the drive in, I saw people canvassing on highway overpasses with signs as voters pass by.
Wow. And Ann, to you, you heard Alex say essentially this could be considered a proxy vote on abortion. There is this proposal to guarantee abortion rights. It's set for a vote in November. So what does this ballot measure mean to proposals like that?
So if this ballot measure passes, it's going to make it much harder for that vote to go through in November. It sets a much higher bar for that. Getting 60% of a state like Ohio, that has historically been a swing state, is going to be very, very difficult. But Republicans say this isn't just about abortion. This could apply to a host of issues, including transgender rights and even minimum wage. So what they want to do is stop these citizen-led ballots that tend to be more liberal from repeatedly coming up to voters. Of course, Democrats say that's anti-democratic, that voters should be deciding the issue of abortion. And just as a note on what's at stake here, abortion is legal in Ohio right now up to 22 weeks. That's one of the most liberal restrictions in the country. Republicans have tried before. They were stopped by a single judge. They say they're going to try again. So I think if this measure passes, it really opens the door for them to try new restrictions.
And Rick, to you, no, it was a Republican who proposed this measure, saying it's about keeping wealthy out-of-state special interests out of Ohio. But it seems there's a lot of money pouring in from both sides of this. Is this part of a larger trend?
Yeah, we've seen this in a number of states where an attempt to change the rules, to change the process by which citizen-led initiatives can come to fruition have happened. It's been happening in more than a dozen states in the last couple of years, not always successfully, by the way, and it may be that this one falls short as well. But yes, there's a lot of outside money and a lot of outside influence, in part because it's kind of the only action on abortion rights in an off-year election. We're between the midterm elections and next year's presidential election, in part because it's Ohio, which has a history of being a battleground state, even though it's trended more to the redder side. And as Ann Flaherty just pointed out, its policies haven't always caught up with its politics. And I think that's one result we're seeing today is, yeah, a lot of outside money pouring in.
And Rick, when you think about a single issue driving voters to the polls and you consider abortion, right, how critical of an issue is this in this election cycle?
Yeah, look, we saw it really blindside Republicans in the impact of the Dobbs ruling last year in the midterms. What, by all accounts, should have been historically a very rough midterm cycle for Democrats ended up not so bad. They picked up a seat in the Senate and barely lost control of the House. Whether that repeats itself in 2024 depends a lot on other factors, including the top of the ticket, the presidential election, which you'd expect the Republicans to do well on in a state like Ohio. This, of course, will be settled long before then, but the landscape that's left behind lingers for a while. We've seen that happen with a roughly similar initiative last summer in Kansas. There's a long kind of tail to a vote like today's.
All right, well, Ann Flaherty, Rick Klein, and Alex Prochet, our thanks to all of you.